that a serial killer is prowling the streets of Perth. After the disappearance of 3 women from the same Perth night spot, police are now certain they're looking for a methodical killer stalking young women.
We certainly have fears that there is a serial killer at loose in Perth as well. It's no point trying to step away from that obvious likelihood that there is a person of that type in the city of Perth.
It's happened again. First it was Sarah Spiers, then Jane Rimmer. Now 27-year-old Ciara Glennon has gone missing.
From our inquiries with her family and friends, her disappearance is considered by us to be totally out of character.
Of Irish ancestry, the young lawyer was last seen leaving the Continental Hotel in Claremont around midnight on Friday. She'd been celebrating St Patrick's Day with workmates. More than a year since the first disappearance, police are increasingly frustrated, claiming similarities between
the 12 months down the track, over 12 months with Sarah and nearly 8 months with Jane, and they're as committed today as they were when they first started.
At the time of her disappearance, Ciara Glennon was wearing a black skirt suit and a white faintly patterned blouse. Lisa Fairclough, 10 News.
We'll cross live to Perth now, and for the latest we're joined by reporter Rex Hoare. Rex, good morning.
Good morning, Jason.
3 missing women now. Why is it assumed the 3rd woman has met the same fate as the others?
All the circumstances are exactly the same as the first 2. In fact, the location, everything smacks of a serial killer now. The first 2 girls who disappeared, police were convinced they were dealing with a serial killer. Now this 3rd one really confirms that.
And no bodies have ever been found though, Rex?
One body was found last August of
Really?
The second girl who disappeared. A girl called Jane Rimmer was found in bush south of Perth. But the other 2 girls haven't been found at all yet. There are rumours of things like bogus taxis roaming Perth. The feeling now could be that there could be actually a rogue taxi. But there are unconfirmed reports this morning that this latest girl was seen getting into a taxi, and it was the last time she was seen. But the police won't confirm or deny that. The one thing we do know is, as tragic as it may seem, this new disappearance could be the breakthrough police are looking for.
And have police set up a special task force or bolstered their investigation since the weekend?
Yes, they've got detectives called in or seconded from other areas of the police force. It's a big task force. It's called the Macro Task Force, which means the big picture. They're not only looking at the disappearances of these 3 women, there are other disappearances as well over the years, and a lot of serious sex attacks in the same area where these girls disappeared.
And is there likely to be a reward posted?
I think, like in all police forces, a reward is actually the last resort. This police task force is working well. It's been going a year. They've got thousands and thousands of leads, and it's very likely that the person responsible for this is someone they've already spoken to.
Rex, thanks for joining us. That's Rex Hoare, our reporter in Perth. New South Wales Labor MP Franca...
On Australian streets. 27-year-old Ciara Glennon was a woman with the world at her feet, a promising solicitor with a steady boyfriend. Her future seemed assured. But on Saturday night, police fear she became the latest victim of an evil serial killer. Ciara vanished after a night out at a popular Perth hotel, the 3rd woman taken from the night spot in 14 months. It's believed Ciara's killer is locked in a battle of wits with police, using innocent women to keep his sick game going. Amanda Walsh explores the mind of our latest serial killer.
I think the likelihood will be that the person will try again.
We must be logical and concede that there are similarities in the incidents that certainly point towards a serial offender.
Claremont, it's a classy suburb of Perth, a favourite with the trendy club goers. It's an unlikely place for a serial killer to be on the loose.
On the evidence we have, one way or another, the victims felt confident in the persons they approached when they left the place. Whether it be because they thought it was a cab, or whether they thought it was a policeman, or whether it is somebody that they knew, or whether it is somebody that they met.
Sarah Spiers was 18. She had the world at her feet. Last year, she disappeared from outside Club Bayview. She hasn't been seen since. Then in June last year, Jane Rimmer, a 23-year-old childcare worker, vanished from the Continental Hotel. Her body was found 2 months later. And now 27-year-old lawyer Ciara Glennon, back from an overseas trip to attend her sister's wedding, has disappeared in frighteningly similar circumstances.
These persons, certainly a serial offender, are generally pretty competent themselves, both socially, and they appear to be pretty well adjusted.
Psychologist Professor Don Thompson is an expert on serial killers. He says it's possible that Ciara has been abducted by the same person who took Sarah and Jane.
I think it's probably a sense of wanting to establish some power over both the individual and over the community.
My greatest wish is to have my Sarah back in my arms. Yeah.
The disappearances have completely stumped police. Despite passionate pleas from the girls' families, very little useful evidence has been found.
I very much feel that she's been abducted.
Do you remember the Australia Day long weekend? That was the weekend Sarah Spiers disappeared from Claremont.
For more than a year, police have used stars such as Kate Sobrano in a high-profile advertising campaign, trying to shake out some information, trying to encourage young women to take extra care.
You're worried because you've noticed a change in their routine or behaviour.
There are certain similarities, of course. The location is the obvious one. They're all attractive young women, and they've all left friends with the intention of going home or wherever.
Detective Superintendent Paul Ferguson heads the task force investigating the Spiers and Rimmer cases. They've had no luck in cornering the person or people responsible.
Probably these matters would be driven by sexual matters, sexual drives, rather than, in the first place, by simply wishing to kill.
What worries Professor Thompson is that once a serial killer starts killing, he doesn't stop.
I think often with serial killers, once they commence their career virtually of killing, it also becomes with them a challenge and battle with the police. So I think that gives them their thrills as well.
A serial killer is meticulous, going over every single detail.
Quite frequently, a serial killer will spend considerable time planning the offence and planning it down to the detail of the exact characteristics of the victim.
Whoever's responsible for the disappearances, Detective Superintendent Ferguson is warning women to be careful whenever they're out alone at night.
If you're going to go somewhere, tell someone where you're going to go to, what time you're going to be home. If you're going to be late, ring someone, tell them, don't hitchhike, don't walk down dark streets on your own. They're common sense in reality, but they can make a hell of a difference.
And murder victim Jane Rimmer. The state government hopes a record $250,000 reward will trigger memories.
We want to move quickly to see if we can get information while it is fresh in people's minds.
Urging women not to venture out alone, police suspect the killer could be posing as a taxi driver or even one of their own, blending into the upmarket Claremont crowd.
It could be a vehicle that has some authority attached to it, so it's seen as non-threatening. Now, that could be a bogus taxi, it could be a bogus police car.
A mobile murder squad command post will return to the nightclub strip today, gathering information from anyone in the area where Ciara vanished on Friday.
We don't want to see any other person or family go through the heartache that the Spiers, the Rimmers and the Glennons have gone through.
Detectives say they're following several significant leads. Tim Verstegen, 7 News.
A couple